All right. So I've got another project that fell in my lap. This one is a Craigslist find. I just happened to take a look and just picked it up within 5 minutes. So you can see it here right behind me. See, it's a Craftsman. The LT4000 has a Kohler, 14 horsepower Kohler motor on it. You can see I was over there. I'd already washed it down. It was it wasn't too bad. I mean, it had some dirt in it, and I cleaned the engine off a little bit so it'll be easier to work on. You can see how it's all cracked up there on the front. The hood is metal. It's actually kind of heavy, but you can see all the plastic's cracked on the front, and it looks like it needs a brace going across to stabilize it. But yeah, so don't know how old this one is. I haven't looked into it yet, but the battery 418 is not bad, but it was just completely dead. So giving that a good charge. Looks like the plate's gone here. The mowing deck has some rust on it, but it didn't feel that bad when I was just, checking, lifting it up and down, and it seemed like it was doing fine. This tire looks new, actually. And I'll have to look it up and see how old this thing is. Weighs a freaking ton. There's a few things wrong with it. This is the little knob to engage and disengage the rear end. And even with it pulled all the way up as far as I can, it's still kind of hard to push. And this thing just slides down really easy. When I'm pushing around, I have to sit there and hold it up. So, I'll take a look under here. Maybe it's hung up on something. Who knows? And the engine looks fine. After I cleaned it off, it's like, man, it doesn't look that bad at all, Oh, one thing I did notice when I'm turning here, you can see the linkage under here, if I can hold it steady. If you can see right down in here. And it just, you can see it binding right there. Whenever you try to take a right turn, it's just popping. It's just slipping the gear there. And so I'll have to take a look at that. What else? I just want to see if the engine's going to run. Yeah, it just needs a really good workover, I'm sure back in the day this sucker was a pretty heavy duty machine. It's actually pretty sturdy. But let me get the battery charged, and we'll see if it'll crank over. Let's give this one a good look over. Alright, well, you can see I pulled it up to the lift here, and after I charged the battery up, it cranked right up. Now I did clean off, I did power wash everything off, and charged the battery, and it cranked up, and I put it in place here. But while it was running, it was just massive amounts of white smoke, so it was oil burning out here somewhere. And the more I look, it looks like it's on top of the muffler here. Can you see what I'm doing? Let me as you can see, yeah, down here there's a bunch of oil, and up underneath where I couldn't get to with the power washer at the moment, You can see all this stuff. It was all caked on all through this. I got most of it off. You can see a lot of it still on the heat sinks there, the cooling ribs. Around here, underneath, it's really heavy, and you can see it's dripping down on top of the exhaust pipe too. So I'm going to get some heavier duty engine cleaner and really get all this off of there, so that while I'm running it, I can see if there's oil leaking somewhere, or I thought it was maybe a head gasket problem, but it cranks right up and it runs pretty good. So I'm just going to give it a really good cleaning so I can really tell where the oil is coming from. Now the steering linkage, you can see when I'm turning it to the right, you can hear it pop, and you can hear it right there. Can you see the gears there? It's just popping, but when it's rolling, it just goes right along. So I'll probably take the gas tank off, take this the gas tank, oh, is it sitting on there? No, just this plate here, take that off so I can get down in there a little easier and hopefully see what's going on with that thing. But everything engaged, even on the mowing deck. I mean, everything. I was kind of surprised. Okay, another thing I noticed real quick before I crank the engine up and move it around. So if you can see, so there's the shift, forward and reverse. This is hydrostatic, so when it's in neutral, it creeps to the rear, and I have to move it up a tiny bit. So just need some adjustment there so that it'll catch neutral when it should. Let me see if I can crank it up and show you. So right now it's in neutral, and it creeps rearward. So it'll take some adjustments there. So there's a few things we've got to look into. Alright, so I got the gas tank off. I'm going to go ahead and take this little shelf off also, so I'll have access to the steering gear there. Alright, so it is off. Let's see how loose that is. Okay, so this clip keeps this piece from going back and forth on that shaft here, but there's nothing holding this shaft in place. I don't feel any groove or anything for any other clip on this side, which I wish there was. There goes my camera. Let me think about this. It's either I'm going to look for a clip, or I might see if I have a piece of pipe that I can cut and use it for a spacer or a bushing here to slide in between and keep this gear as far over as possible. Alright, so I'm going to look at it a little closer. Alright, so I'm going to try something here. I was looking for a spacer, something that I could, fit over this. It's a 3/4 inch shaft and about 3/4 inches wide that I could have in between here and keep this gear butt up against. And well, I cut this PVC pipe, and you can see where I have this opening here, because it looks like, all this stuff would have to come off and I could slide it on. But I started thinking, well, first I'm going to try to pop this on there. So if I can pop it on and then see if it'll stay on, if it'll do the trick. I could even wire tie it. Little rig job, but yeah. So it fits in like that, and I'm going to try to pop that on. It's almost on it. I think that that C-clip that's on this side is keeping it from seating completely down. But let me fool with this for a second. It's hard to do this one-handed. Alright, well, there she blows. So I was able to pop that spacer over, and just to make sure it doesn't come off too easy, I put a wire tie around the whole thing right here. Oh, there we go. And it seems to be working. So it's keeping the gears together. But you can see how that shaft is moving along. I guess over the years it has just elongated the hole, on that bracket. But that seems to be working. I'm curious to see how long that's going to last. It is PVC. Just a PVC pipe, schedule 40 or whatever, 3/4 inch, which fit perfect. I don't know how brittle it's going to get over the years, but that seemed to do the trick. All right. See everything under here. I think I'm going to take the battery out in the battery box, so I'll have a straight down access, although it's nice to get it right here. But so I'll take this off, and I'll be charging the battery up while I check into all this stuff, see why this is not staying up. Alright, the battery's out, the battery box is out. And there's our, yeah, there's just nothing holding it. There's a lever. Let's see if we can look in here. There's the lever. Yep, so it's just that one little bitty button down here at the bottom. You know what? I think it's just a loose bolt. See this bolt right here? So it's not like this thing is spring loaded or anything. I think it's just a total friction. Let me see if I can tighten that bolt and get it to stay where I'm putting it. See if you can see any better in there. We're looking straight dead into the rear. And the bolt is under here. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. You would think it was tight enough. I'm looking at it and there is a thrust washer on it. I'm going to tighten it back up. I think the bolt broke. That would suck. Well, there it is. So that's what I was down there with. There's the broken bolt, and there's that thrust washer. But apparently, maybe it wasn't aligning with the hole well enough. That shoulder on the bolt, you know. And when I tried to tighten it up, it was probably bottoming out right there and not giving the thrust washer enough room to do anything at all, and it just I just snapped the bolt. So let me see if I can find another bolt. And you can see there's the bracket. So it's no big deal. I just need to find a bolt that'll go through with the thrust washer. Alright, so here's the bracket. So there's the bolt with a thrust washer on it. Feeds through, and hopefully this has room to jiggle, but hopefully there'll be enough pressure from the thrust washer there to make this operate like it should. Alright, the bolt is on. And it's doing like it should. What I need to do though is switch the nut over there to a lock nut, because it's not like you can just tighten this thing down or it's going to be jamming down here and make it really hard to move this lever up and down. So I need to put a lock nut on there so I can tighten it down enough to compress the thrust washer but not lock it down where you can't move it, right? So, but that was it. Let's see. And it looks like, so here you can see there's the control for forward and reverse. And it looks like I can adjust it right here. Because before it was in neutral and it was creeping backwards, so it just needs to go about that far in. This kind of looks like it's loose. but I just need to move this back a tiny bit, like go from there to there. And that should get rid of the creep. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. It's kind of hard to do this even with the tripod set up, but maybe I'll set it down here where you have a good view. But you can see this rod right here. And it's moving back and forth. I loosened up the lock washer here, and I'm going to take this off the bottom and then turn it counterclockwise to make it a little longer, right? It doesn't need much. It only needs maybe, I'm going to go 1/4 of an inch max, and see if that'll get rid of the creep. So maybe you'll be able to see it from under here. If I don't get in your way. Yeah, so that's it right here. Sure is cramped under here. Yep, thought I had it. Alright, I gotta move the camera. Sorry guys. Alright, so there it is. You can see I just unbolted it right there. So now I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to use this nut right there to gauge how far I'm screwing this out. There, about 1/4 of an inch right there. So I'll tighten that up, bolt this back on, and that should do it. But that should do it. So we've got that adjusted to try to get rid of the creep. And we'll be able to tell once we get it going. Right now it's kind of hard to tell. And then this, it's staying up and staying down like it should. Okay, well, let's clean up that battery box a little bit. Looks pretty nasty in there. And we'll get the battery back on. And we'll lift this thing up and take a look underneath the mowing deck. Alright, so we got it up on the lift here. And everything is actually looking pretty good. The pulleys are in good shape. Yeah. The blades are nice. The blades actually look pretty good. They're not old. Looks like they've been replaced maybe a year ago at the most. And everything's on there. What is looks like I don't think it's a problem with the linkage there. I just noticed if you look at the bar, it's hitting the bottom of the gas tank. So I need to move it out a notch. Let's do that, and then we'll check the alright, so I moved the gas tank. There was a series of 3 holes, one here and there. I had it mounted on the center hole. I just did that so it looked like it had easier access to the cover if I have to take it off. But it looks like there's plenty of clearance, but I just moved it out to the outer hole now because you can see the bar there, it was hitting the tank. So, and let's check the tensioner pulley. Yeah. Man, everything under here looks good. Mechanically, that is. The question is, do I go ahead and take the deck off and paint it, treat it for rust? Oh, look what I found under there. Half-inch Craftsman. Wonder how old this thing is. Don't know how long it's been under there, but alright, so I went back and fine-tuned my little neutral deal. I moved it out 1/4 inch and had to move it back in 1/8 of an inch, so that seemed to do it. The engine, I was gonna make sure it's running tip-top. The only thing I had to do was change out the fuel filter there. The old one was clogged up with some stuff, and after that, man, it's running great. So haven't decided what I'm going to do with the mowing deck. It's engaging properly, so now it's just all looks. It has some surface rust on it, but other than that, so you can see the hood here. It's all, you know, pretty good metal here on the sides. It's just the front grille is what's been cracking up and everything. So, and there's a few pieces there. You know, I was going to try to, you know, maybe do some plastic welding or something, and but it's just not going to be sturdy. It's, you can see it's just cracking all over the place. So, so what I did, just to keep this from flexing, so when you're taking it off, on and off, it'll have some rigidity to it. I just cut off, I'm putting a brace along the sides here, and you can see it hanging there on my, oh, let me get this on there. Yeah, so I just cut that piece off, painted it, and it'll be underneath this. It'll just span across there. At least it'll add some rigidity to the hood, and I think that's all I'm going to do to it. It's running good. It's going to cut good. There's just some cosmetic things to worry about, but you know what? I'm going to sell this off. So yeah, so I'm just going to sell it off and get it out of here, and then I can work on finish off my snapper. I still haven't fine-tuned it, if you've been following along with that little project. So and after that, I guess I'll be selling it off too. I have quite a few to go, but once I get this out, I think I'm going to start on a Kubota that I've been sitting on for quite a while, and it's with the GR2100, and those were notorious for the rear end going out, and the rebuild kit involves replacing all the bushings, which is probably all ground down and metal flying around everywhere in there, replacing that with bearings instead of bushings. And they say once that's done, then it runs great, right? And it's a great little mower. It's a what, 3-cylinder diesel. It has a 54, I believe a 54-inch mowing deck, and four-wheel drive. It's pretty nice. So I'll probably bring that back here and rebuild the rear end on it, the transmission and everything. So that's the plan. But anyway, that's it for this one. You know, I don't know if you want to see it all put together nice and shiny, but you know, it just has some cosmetic flaws now, but mechanically it looks pretty sound. And yeah, that's it. So well, once again, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and take a look at our Patreon account. You know, if you want to throw in a couple of bucks, that's great. You know, it'll help me with some of these parts. And like that Kubota rebuild kit, holy crap, it, you know, cost me $380 after taxes and all that stuff, so 380 bucks. But hopefully it'll be worth it. But yeah, so watch my next video. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you later.